if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like, to be honest, like, if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
She wrote, your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god.
Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died.
Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein.
The U.S. Department of Justice recently released more than 3,000 documents related to Jeffrey Epstein. Within those files, Oprah Winfrey's name appears several times, primarily in contact lists and correspondence. This has sparked online speculation about the extent of any connection between the two. Photos of Oprah with Epstein and references in emails have circulated widely, leading some to question whether there was any deeper involvement. In this video, we'll examine what the Epstein files actually show and whether there is any verified link between Oprah and Epstein. Oprah's name does appear multiple times across court filings, emails, contact directories, and testimony summaries. However, it is important to note that being mentioned in these documents does not imply wrongdoing. Still, the repeated references have fueled ongoing rumors online. Critics have questioned why prominent figures appear within Epstein's broader social network, even though inclusion in contact lists alone does not indicate participation in criminal activity. Some observers suggest that Epstein sought legitimacy by associating with high-profile individuals, including major media figures. Certain emails indicate Epstein hoped to rebuild his public image through connections in media and philanthropy. However, some claims circulating online about these communications remain disputed or unverified. To better understand the context, some commentators look back to 2007 when Oprah founded the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Girls in South Africa. Years later, the school faced a serious scandal involving abuse by a staff member. Critics argued the incident harmed Oprah's humanitarian reputation. At the time, a female dormitory matron was accused of physically abusing students, and more than 15 girls reported mistreatment. Some later questioned how much leadership knew. However, no evidence ever showed that Oprah personally knew about or was involved in the abuse.
The trial of a former dormitory matron charged with abusing 6 students at Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in South Africa is resuming. Prosecutors say former dorm matron Tina Virginia Makopo tried to kiss and fondle the girls. She's also accused of kicking and hitting some of them. Makopo pleaded innocent to 14 charges of indecent assault, and criminal injury in South Africa. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the ex-headmistress of the $40 million school is suing Winfrey for defamation. The suit claims someone would conclude from Winfrey's comments that the school employee knew of the alleged abuse and was actively involved in covering it up.
I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core.
Winfrey said she was disappointed in the former headmistress. The TV talk show host also made comments about students who felt there was an atmosphere of repression at the school.
And I spoke to all the girls personally, and I encouraged all of them, any of them who had actually been harmed, to please come forward.
The widely circulated tweet has made a series of serious allegations linking Jeffrey Epstein to claims about black market baby schemes and referencing Joel Teixeira de Faria, known as Joel Teixeira de Faria, John of God, who previously had media exposure including appearances connected to Oprah Winfrey. The post also mentions fashion executive Peter Nygard, another public figure who once appeared on Oprah's show. However, many of the claims in the tweet remain unverified or disputed, and being mentioned in online speculation or in proximity to Epstein's broader network does not in itself establish involvement in criminal activity.
You can get paid a lot more than.
So how much do you want for it? Let's bid. I bid $500 for you.
I'm prepared to outbid him anyway.
Whatever I bid, he's going to outbid me.
I bought about $60,000 worth of eggs.
Yeah.
If you have abortion, that's very valuable. Umbilical cord, and placenta, even your period blood is so rich with stem cells. Yeah. We regard it as waste, and it actually should be. It should be captured as recycled, and it shouldn't go to waste. It's life for somebody,
Him.
And it's life
and
for
George Bush.
No, the best eggs are 16 to 18 years old. Those are the best eggs.
16 to 18-year-olds.
The older your eggs get, the weaker and weaker.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So you may not be our top candidate.
No, that's fine. I think that was my business anyway.
Claims about the use of stem cells and blood from other people, particularly involving children, have circulated widely online, especially after revelations about Jeffrey Epstein's crimes became public. Around that time, Nicki Minaj posted a tweet reflecting on what she said she had observed during her years in the entertainment industry. While she did not name any individuals directly, some online commentators interpreted her remarks as criticism of the same elite social circles that later appeared in documents related to Epstein.
Here's what Nicki Minaj had to say. She wrote, "Your favorite artist has been practicing rituals in a satanic cult where they take babies from other countries and mutilate and kill them as a form of blood sacrifice to their god. You see, when your master is Satan, you must constantly shed blood. However, the jig is up." And yeah, she's not the first person in Hollywood to say that. I just don't know how much could be in our face anymore before we wake up and realize these people are ruling over us and they win when we're fighting with each other. That's just the reality. I really don't see how you can have a ton of success in Hollywood and not be in the club, because Hollywood was founded upon this. I just don't really care what you call me. It's time for everyone to wake up.
At the center of the Epstein case is a disturbing question. What was Jeffrey Epstein doing with the children in his care? Accounts from some of his victims describe plans he allegedly had for a baby farm at his New Mexico ranch. According to one victim's statement, Epstein told scientists and businessmen that he intended to use his 33,000 square foot Zorro ranch near Santa Fe to have women impregnated with his sperm and give birth to his children, reportedly aiming for up to 20 women at a time. The statement describes Epstein's obsession with eugenics, genetic engineering, and creating his own lineage. He allegedly discussed these plans openly during dinners, lunches, and conferences with prominent scientists, including research into so-called designer babies, all with the goal of breeding what he considered the perfect human.
In the Epstein files, it literally shows emails that Jeffrey Epstein was creating designer babies. I really want to know why we haven't heard the DOJ talk about this, especially since some of the survivors said that this happened to them in Jeffrey Epstein's New Mexico property, Zorro Ranch. How I found out that he was working with another person to create these designer babies is because I saw him ordering a lot of 23andMe kits, and he was sending them to a lot of different people as gifts. In this email, he was sending some to Woody Allen and his adopted daughter at one point in time, who is now his wife. And I started to see a lot of emails in the Epstein files of people saying that they were pregnant to Jeffrey Epstein, or even alluding that he had actual children. Like this email in 2011 to Jeffrey Epstein, and it appears to be from Sarah Ferguson. And it said, "You have disappeared. I didn't even know you were having a baby. It's so crystal clear to me that you were only friends with me to get to Andrew, and that really hurt me deeply, more than you will know. Congratulations on your baby boy." And this email in 2006 from Glenn Dubin to Jeffrey Epstein. "I get pictures of you flying over Mount Fiji, and I have to find out from Benghazi that you have twin babies. Eva and I are so excited for you. Please send pictures ASAP." And Glenn Dubin says, "Test tube babies, just thinking." Started looking up the term babies in the Epstein files, and this is when I came across this. It was titled Designer Babies in August of 2018, and he has it on like an agenda. Then I found this email, and it's from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it's Designer Babies / Brian Bishop. So I looked up who Brian Bishop was, because I was like, why are they saying designer babies? And it says, Brian Bishop is a software engineer and a biohacker who gained attention for his attempts to fund and advance a do-it-yourself, or DIY, designer baby project using Bitcoin. His project aimed to utilize the CRISPR gene editing technology to engineer human embryos for enhanced traits, such as increased muscle mass or improved memory. And this is the next email I found about designer babies, and it's from Brian Bishop to Jeffrey Epstein, and it says, "Here is a deck about my designer baby project. I have talked with Austin again, and we have a series of questions about how serious you are about wanting this and what are the ground rules for me even exploring this with you and getting to next steps.
Disturbing activities reportedly took place on Epstein's private island. After his arrest in 2006, he appeared to focus on repairing his public image. Like many wealthy individuals facing scrutiny, he sought legitimacy through philanthropy, donating to charities, funding academic programs, and joining high-profile humanitarian and scientific circles. Universities and nonprofit organizations accepted his contributions, and prestigious institutions gave him access to influential networks, despite his status as a registered offender. When these efforts proved insufficient, Epstein reportedly looked for trusted public figures to help bolster his reputation.
Let's talk about Oprah. Now, Oprah is limited in the context of the files, but there is clear collusion between Oprah and Jeffrey Epstein. What do you mean? Well, Sarah Ferguson, yes, the Duchess of York, she is involved with Epstein, and she is involved with Oprah. Let's talk about this specifically. Sarah sent Epstein an email saying, I want to make sure you're aware I'm going on Oprah tomorrow, and she is going to ask me about my debts, the entrapment of last year, and the press about you in January. It'll be quick and at the top of the show, all of 10 seconds, a very small piece. However, I just wanted to make sure that you are aware of this and seek your advice on how you want me to answer. It will be a tiny piece. This is straight up collusion. This is Oprah passing through a message to Epstein. And you know what? Jeffrey responded to Sarah with the answer that he was supposed to give. Jeffrey was unfairly characterized as a pedophile by the tabloid press. Many years ago, Jeffrey pleaded guilty to soliciting underage prostitutes. He paid his debt to society and has sought forgiveness. I have nothing more to say. This was in 2011. This is clear collusion between Oprah, Sarah, and Jeffrey.
It's worth noting that Oprah Winfrey has, over the years, been associated with several high-profile figures in the entertainment industry who later faced serious criminal allegations, including Harvey Weinstein, R. Kelly, and Sean Combs. Some commentators have suggested that repeated associations with controversial figures may reflect a broader pattern. For example, Weinstein was widely celebrated in Hollywood for decades, and Oprah publicly supported him during that time. He remained embraced and promoted within elite circles until legal accountability eventually caught up with him.
Oprah publicly supported victims of sexual assault in the wake of numerous allegations against Harvey Weinstein. Singer Seal Instagrammed this meme, showing Winfrey kissing the disgraced mogul. It reads, when you have been part of the problem for decades, but suddenly they all think you are the solution.
Please welcome Seal!
The 54-year-old who's appeared on Oprah's show captioned his post, oh, I forgot, that's right, you'd heard the rumors, but you had no idea he was actually serially assaulting young starry-eyed actresses, my bad. While Weinstein maintains his innocence, Seal hasn't commented further, and Oprah has not responded.
This moment is a really powerful time for everybody to get woke.
Fans have come to her defense, pointing out Winfrey is a sexual survivor. They also posted pics of Seal's ex, Heidi Klum, kissing Weinstein too.
In Hollywood, some critics argue that financial incentives often take precedence over ethics, with powerful figures sometimes prioritizing profits over the well-being of others. High-profile individuals may be offered large sums of money, and accepting those deals can, according to observers, create implicit pressure to stay silent or compliant. This dynamic has led to claims that the industry's power structures protect insiders, allowing some controversies to be minimized while others thrive. Comedian Dave Chappelle has publicly stated that he turned down a major deal because he didn't trust the industry's expectations. At the time, some perceived him as difficult or uncooperative, and even prominent figures, including Oprah Winfrey, reportedly mocked his decision. Today, many observers see his choice as an early recognition of the pressures and control mechanisms operating behind the scenes in Hollywood, highlighting the risks of refusing to participate in these entrenched systems.
it was completely outside of my frame of reference. I've been in show business since I was 14, and I've heard the stories of what happens, and I've seen these kinds of things play out in front of me.
Okay.
When I saw
when you
these
say
things.
you heard the stories, what do you mean? What stories?
I mean, you see it before. Look, Mariah Carey made a $100 million deal, and 3 months later, she's all of a sudden mysteriously crazy. Or Martin Lawrence punches through, and he's waving a gun on the street screaming, "They're trying to kill me."
Yeah, we hear those stories.
And it always happens around the time in their career where it seems as though they're crossing over the next plateau.
Yeah. Would you say you lost your mind, sort of?
No, not exactly.
Okay.
I wasn't crazy, but it's incredibly stressful.
Yeah.
And I felt like in a lot of instances, I was deliberately being put through stress. And they do what's called a salt trap. I didn't know this. Apparently, baboons love salt.
Okay.
So they put a lump of salt in a hole, and they wait for the baboon. The baboon comes, sticks his hand in the hole, grabs the salt. Salt makes his hand bigger, and he's trapped. He can't get his hand out. Now, if he's smart, all he does is let go of the salt. Baboon doesn't want to let go of the salt. Then the bushman just comes, takes the baboon, throws him in the cage, and gives him all the salt he wants. And then the baboon gets thirsty. The bushman lets him out the cage. The first place the baboon runs to is water. Bushman follows him, and they both drink to their fill. And in that analogy, I felt like the baboon. But I was smart enough to let go of the salt.
The list of individuals connected to Jeffrey Epstein continues to grow as new documents are released, and patterns are beginning to emerge. The names include former U.S. presidents, tech executives, some of the world's wealthiest individuals, and even members of royal families. Many of these names had appeared in media reports years ago, but were often framed as coincidences or unverified associations. With the latest batch of documents, however, these individuals are resurfacing alongside more detailed timelines, repeated contacts, and clearer links to Epstein's network.
And the chairman of a prominent law firm is stepping down over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Paul Weiss law chair Brad Karp says in a statement, quote, "Recent reporting has created a distraction and has placed a focus on me that's not in the best interest of the firm." The firm says Karp will remain with the firm, just in a different role. Senior Washington reporter Will Staken is here for more. Hi, Will. So what's the latest on this growing list of prominent people facing scrutiny over the Epstein files?
Yeah, Diane, well I think, Mr. Karp right here is kind of the latest fallout from these Epstein files. Like you said, the really powerful law firm Paul Weiss announced that Mr. Karp would be stepping down after his name appeared in these files. Now, the law firm did not give a reason why Mr. Karp is stepping down, and previously the law firm denied Mr. Karp had any wrongdoing, but with this release of these files, his name appears in the files, mostly with his assistant trying to schedule meetings with Mr. Epstein. But there's an email between Mr. Karp and Epstein where he's asking about if he could help, get his son some kind of job in an upcoming Woody Allen film. So I think these emails, obviously are continuing to have fallout across, widespread industries. It's kind of the latest fallout here. We saw recently that popular wellness influencer Peta Attia also stepped down from his role at the protein company David.
The recent release of Epstein-related documents has had wide-ranging effects, bringing renewed attention to the networks of high-profile individuals. Among them is Bill Gates, who had a documented relationship with Jeffrey Epstein beginning around 2011, several years after Epstein's prior conviction for sex offenses. Records indicate that Gates and Epstein met multiple times, including private dinners and meetings in New York.
Well, we've known his name before. There are more unsettling allegations surrounding Microsoft co-founder Bill Gates. Yep, came out as part of the release. It was revealed that back in 2013, Epstein allegedly claimed that Gates was looking to get medication to treat an STD because of having sex with Russian girls. Keyword Russian. We'll get back to that. Yeah, apparently Epstein had penned this draft email on behalf of a Gates advisor who wanted to maybe leave the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. So Epstein seemingly wrote in this guy's voice, "In my role as his right hand, I had been asked on multiple occasions and in hindsight wrongly acquiesced into participating in things that have ranged from the morally inappropriate to the ethically unsound and had been repeatedly asked to do other things that get near and potentially over the line into the illegal. From helping Bill to get drugs in order to deal with consequences of with Russian girls, to facilitating his illicit trysts with married women, to being asked to provide Adderall for bridge tournaments, I feel I owe it to my friends and future colleagues to admit a moral failure." So there was a spokesperson for Bill Gates who rejected the allegations, saying these claims are absolutely absurd and completely false.
Jeffrey Epstein maintained connections with some of the world's wealthiest and most powerful individuals, even after his conviction as a sex offender. Documents released in court filings and emails allege that Prince Andrew and Epstein asked an exotic dancer to perform at Epstein's Florida residence, with payment reportedly not fully delivered. The files also suggest that Epstein arranged international meetings between Prince Andrew and young women, including a 26-year-old Russian woman in London in 2010, 2 years after Epstein's prior conviction. As a result of his association with Epstein, Prince Andrew has faced significant public scrutiny and personal consequences. Some close to him have reportedly described being linked to Epstein as a sign of social cachet, though the broader fallout has been substantial.
Everybody that was very powerful. So like if you were on the scene and you were powerful, like to be honest, like if you're not in those files, it would be an insult because it just means that you were a bit of a loser.
Right. So the people who aren't in the files are losers.
Yes.
Okay. Are you in the files?
Well, of course I am, because it's any journalist that wrote about it.
That's an astonishing attitude, isn't it? You're the loser because you're not in this. I find that jaw-dropping.
All of this raises a key question. How was Epstein able to gain access to such elite circles? He did not simply stumble into these spaces. His connections were cultivated over time. Relationships at this level are often facilitated by gatekeepers, intermediaries, and institutions that benefit from maintaining certain networks and keeping some matters private. Members of royal families and other high-profile figures rarely interact with financiers or socialites without trusted endorsements. The fact that Epstein operated for so long without serious intervention has led many observers to question whether powerful institutions failed to investigate him rigorously.
Let me just get real and say,
if I gun to your head, what do you think your best assessment of what Epstein, who was Epstein, who was he working for?
Well, I don't know, right? So I'm just guessing. Everybody wants to say he was working for the Mossad. He very well could have been. He could have been working for the CIA. He could have been a guy who was on his own, but also working with them, right? Like a guy that they used, but they never fully endorsed.
Like an asset?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And a guy who could move money around.
Right.
He definitely...
Good at laundering money.
The moving money around stuff was very weird because he had money through no way that anybody could ever explain.
Yeah.
He had an enormous amount of money through no way that nobody could ever explain. Which, you know, if you're state-funded, you're funded by Israel, and Israel's funded by America, and, you know, there's also NGOs and nonprofits, and there's ways to move money around where you can give this guy money.
Yeah.
So he was like Weinstein, who is an economist, right? Weinstein's a legitimate mathematician.
Eric?
Yeah. So when Eric met him, his first inclination was he was a fraud.
He's a construct.
Yeah, a construct. And did he tell you the whole story about the girl sitting on his lap?
Yep.
So Epstein, while he's meeting with Eric Weinstein for the first time, has a beautiful girl sitting on his lap, and a woman, I shouldn't say girl. He said she was like in her 20s, and she's sitting on his lap, and he's bouncing around, so her tits are juggling around. While
he's asking math questions.
Yeah, talking serious. So he was obviously nerd fishing.
One of the most discussed questions surrounding Epstein is whether he was cooperating with authorities before his death. While speculation has circulated for years, no confirmed agreement has been publicly released. Some recently reported documents suggest that shortly before his death, Epstein may have been willing to provide information about individuals in his network. Officially, his death was ruled a suicide. However, questions remain due to reported security lapses at the jail, including malfunctioning cameras and inattentive guards. If Epstein had been providing information, it could have potentially implicated high-profile figures, including billionaires, politicians, and royalty. To date, there is no publicly released list of names, no confirmed cooperation agreement, and no official acknowledgement that Epstein formally became an informant.
According to an FBI record, Epstein was possibly about to cooperate with the feds right before he died. That on July 29, 2019, his lawyers and the federal prosecutors in this case, in very general terms, discussed the possibility of a resolution of the case and the possibility of the defendant's cooperation. Cooperation's key. Defense counsel did not make a specific proposal, and they did not indicate what the nature of Epstein's cooperation might be, if any. But it was suggested that defense counsel contact SDNY if Epstein was prepared to accept responsibility for his conduct and/or they had a specific proposal for a resolution of this case. Okay, so maybe he was going to work out a deal and then he dies, right? That looks suspicious. This is a guy who had connections to the rich and powerful, potentially had a lot of information. Strange, he just dies, right?
We are often asked to trust the headlines, the official conclusions, and the justice system. Yet the story still feels unfinished. Thousands of documents and numerous names have emerged, but accountability for many individuals remains limited. Epstein may have been just one person, or perhaps he functioned as a central figure in a larger network, someone with access to information that implicated others.